The short pass. Yes, it's always been a rule. We've just changed it a little. It is a fundamental principle of netball that every pass should be capable of being legally contested. The previous wording of the rule was being interpreted in a way that led to the use of passes so short that defenders had no opportunity to even attempt to intercept or gain possession.
The updated rule is, when a player passes the ball, there must be sufficient space on the court for an opposing player to be able to deflect or intercept the ball, as it moves from the hands of the passer to those of the receiver. The difference between intercept by a hand and deflect or intercept is that the umpire must consider whether the defending player can make a genuine attempt, considering not just a hand, but a hand connected to an arm and a body. In keeping with the philosophy of netball as a sport for all, the rule refers to the umpire's assessment of the player's actions, rather than to body size or shape. Replay ball is one of the most confusing rules in netball. This is not a rule change, but a refresh of the existing rule to make it clear to everyone how you can gain possession of the ball and what you can do while in possession.
To gain possession of the ball, a player may catch the ball with one or both hands, roll the ball to oneself, catch the ball if it rebounds from the goalpost, bat the ball once and then catch it, bounce the ball once and then catch it, or touch the ball in an uncontrolled manner once or more than once and then catch it. A player may not fall on the ball to gain possession or gain possession of the ball while lying, sitting or kneeling on the ground. If this occurs, the umpire will award a free pass. A player may not use the goalpost as support, including to gain or retain possession of the ball. Any player in possession of the ball may pass it with one or both hands. A goal shooter or goal attack in possession of the ball in the goal circle may either pass the ball or shoot for goal. A player must pass or shoot for goal within 3 seconds. After having possession and releasing the ball, a player may not touch the ball again before it touches another player or it rebounds from the goalpost.
Without having possession of the ball, a player may 1. Bat or bounce the ball to another player. 2. Bat the ball once and then either bat or bounce the ball to another player. 3. Bounce the ball once and then either bat or bounce the ball to another player. 4. Touch the ball in an uncontrolled manner once or more than once and then either bat or bounce the ball to another player. There are other ways of playing the ball that are prohibited in netball. A player may not 1. Kick the ball, 2. Strike the ball with a fist, 3. Roll the ball to another player, 4. Pass the ball or shoot for goal while lying, sitting or kneeling on the ground. This should make it easier to interpret the rules for playing the ball. Buzzer beaters. We all love them, but how do you know if the goal counts? In the past, the ball had to pass completely through the ring before the whistle to be counted. Now, if the whistle to end play or to hold time is blown after the ball has left the hands of the shooter and the shot is successful, the goal will be scored. If the shot is unsuccessful, there's only 2 reasons that the penalty pass will be awarded for an infringement after the ball has left their hands. Either if a defending player has caused the goalpost to move, which interferes with the shot, or if they deflect the ball on its downwards path towards the ring.
The reason for this change is that it's easier for the umpire to assess whether the ball has left the player's hands when time is blown and signalled than to assess whether the ball has passed wholly and completely through the ring. In the situation where a penalty has been awarded and then the timekeeper signals for time, the umpire will blow the whistle for time and then advise the players that the penalty can be taken. If this occurs at the end of a period of play, play will be extended for the penalty pass to be taken, including any subsequent infringements at that penalty pass. Can't wait to see more buzzer beaters. Faking an injury to make a substitution? Not anymore. The new rule means teams no longer have to fake an injury to make a substitution or a team change during play. They can simply request a tactical change immediately after a goal has been scored. A team change is when an on-court player changes their playing position with another on-court player. A substitution is when a player moves from the team bench to replace another player on the court. There are 3 times you can make substitutions and or team changes. 1, at an interval. 2, at an injury or illness or blood stoppage. Or now, immediately after a goal has been scored. This is considered a tactical change, and umpires will use this hand signal to differentiate it from another stoppage for injury or illness, blood, or game management action.
Step 1. An on-court player has to ask the umpire to hold time. Step 2. Quickly change positions. Step 3. Play restarts. Tactical changes must be made without delay to ensure that the umpire is able to restart play quickly so the momentum of the match is not affected. Any players moving position or leaving or joining the court must do so quickly. If too much time is taken, the team will be penalised. In individually timed games, time will be held for the changes. This will not be possible in centrally timed games, but teams will still need to complete changes efficiently so that they're not penalised for delaying. Tactical changes may be made by both the requesting team and the opposing team. While you have a right to make as many changes as you like, if the number of changes is becoming too disruptive to play, the umpire can refuse to allow them, or even penalise the team for delaying play. This change will make tactical changes much easier. Enjoy.
In the game of netball, the team taking the centre pass alternates throughout. Most umpires use a hair tie or a band on their hand to keep track of whose pass it is, because we're all human and we can all make mistakes. We've made some changes to make sure we get all the centre passes correct. After a goal is scored, both umpires, and the reserve umpire if there is one, indicate the direction of the centre pass with their arm, and the controlling umpire calls the name of the team who is taking the next centre pass. If the umpires disagree or are any way unsure, the umpires must seek clarification from the scorers. If both umpires indicate the centre pass direction incorrectly, the scorers notify the umpires prior to the centre pass being taken, by talking to them, or by electronic means in elite netball.
The updated rule allows an on-court player to appeal to the umpire before the centre pass is taken, if they believe it is being signalled incorrectly. Once the centre pass has been taken, any mistakes cannot be rectified. It's too late. The umpires will then check with the scorers, who will confirm the centre pass and tell the umpires. We've added these extra safeguards to stop errors at the centre pass. The good old toss-up. It's gone. A toss-up was previously used when infringements occurred simultaneously, which means at the exact same time. However, due to improved umpire education and training, the use of toss-ups has become much less frequent, and umpires are instead correctly penalising the infringement that occurred first. This means that the skill of the toss-up has been lost for both players and umpires. Although rare, there will still be some occasions when infringements do happen at exactly the same time. So now, if the whistle is blown for a simultaneous infringement, the umpire awards possession to the team that was last in possession of the ball, where the ball was when play stopped. Any player from that team may take the ball for the restart of play. It does not have to be the player who actually had the ball last. This is different to a situation where possession is called as a clarification, where two players gain possession of the ball in quick succession.
Because the new action only applies in the same situations where a toss-up would have been awarded under the previous rules, it is expected that this will not be used frequently. Some moments it might be used are at a centre pass, two opposing players enter the centre third before the whistle, and one or both touch or catch the ball, or for any other mutual infringement.
As the infringements are simultaneous, it is not possible to apply the advantage rule, even though the same team will be awarded possession of the ball.
Remember, we expect this to be used as often as we would have seen a toss-up, so not very often.
Player safety is paramount in netball. We've made some changes in the new rules, most of them to ensure the game of netball is safe and fair. It's important that player safety is taken seriously by players, coaches and umpires in dealing with injury incidents. Blood. Players who are bleeding, have an open wound or blood-stained clothing must leave the court and be substituted. but we no longer require a player with dried blood on them to be substituted. Players with dried blood are now permitted to clean up quickly and continue playing. This will usually happen while the bleeding player is being substituted or other players or the ball are being checked for blood. However, any clothing that becomes blood-stained must be replaced within the time allowed for the stoppage by the umpires, and this may occur away from the playing enclosure.
We've also made some changes regarding head and neck injuries and suspected concussion. The new rule clarifies that as well as umpires holding time for injury and illness following a verifiable request by an on-court player, the umpire may also hold time without a request being made if there is an obvious or serious injury, which includes an injury to the head or neck and or suspected concussion. At the elite level, we've introduced an independent concussion observer who may, along with a primary care person or team doctor, advise the reserve umpire to ask the umpires to hold time if there is a suspected concussion. In extreme circumstances where player safety is endangered, a primary care person, team doctor or independent concussion observer may enter the court while play is in progress. Either umpire will then immediately hold time. Foul play, not cool in our books. Foul play has been split into three categories: unfair play, unsporting behaviour and dangerous play. Each attracts increasingly serious game management action. Let's explain them. Unfair play includes delaying play, when a player or team intentionally wastes time or delays play. Intentional infringing, when a player intentionally infringes any rule. Repeated infringing, if a player or team repeatedly infringes a rule or a combination of rules.
Advantage contact centre, advantage obstruction centre, advantage offside centre, advantage offside centre.
Intimidation, when a player with or without the ball attempts to intimidate an opponent using behaviour designed to distract them to obtain an unfair advantage. Examples of intimidation include covering an opponent's eyes, swiping the ball directly in front of their face, making unnecessarily loud or sudden noises, stomping the ground, waving arms erratically, or sledging by deliberately insulting or verbally intimidating an opposing player. Disputed ruling, when a player disputes a ruling given by an umpire.
Footwork goal shooter.
Oh, what?
If an umpire's call is not clearly heard, a player may ask the umpire to repeat the infringement penalised or seek clarification of where a sanction or action is to be taken. The game management action awarded for unfair play is a penalty pass, which is advanced.
Full attack delaying play, advance the penalty.
Unsporting behaviour includes retaliation, a player's inappropriate response to the actions of an opponent, even if the opponent infringes the
Contact wing
rules.
defence.
Abusive behaviour, if a player uses any offensive, insulting or abusive language or gestures towards anyone in the playing enclosure. It also includes any actions contrary to good sporting behaviour. Good sporting behaviour is a level of behaviour that meets generally accepted ethical standards in sport. Playing by the rules of the game, self-discipline, self-control and respecting opponents and officials. The game management action for unsporting behaviour is a penalty pass where the infringement occurred and the player is either given a warning or suspended. In a serious case, the umpire will order the player off. Dangerous play. A player must not take any action, either unnecessarily forceful, careless, reckless or dangerous, that could affect the safety of another player. This specifically includes, but is not limited to, any action that results in either head and or neck contact or contact of the head and or neck with any part of the playing enclosure, including the goalpost. In the case of dangerous play, the game management action is a penalty pass where the infringement occurred, and the player is either suspended or, in a serious case, ordered off. A player must always be ordered off for intentional or highly reckless acts of dangerous play.
Goal defence, that's highly reckless, dangerous play, you're ordered off. There is a big emphasis on the seriousness of dangerous play, which is why it goes straight to a suspension or, in a serious case, ordering off. This puts increased responsibility on players to use good sense and judgment in making decisions on court, and understanding that they will be held accountable for actions that might result in the injury of an opponent. By the time the umpires take the action, the incident has already happened, and it is too late. But having a more serious consequence hopefully has a deterrent effect and makes that player and others reconsider their behaviour for next time.
Game management is crucial to keeping our game safe and fair. Any game management action outlined in the rules is compulsory, not optional. In this video, we'll cover the key changes in the rules and explain the game management process. Cautions have been removed, and we have now added the ability for umpires to advance or escalate a sanction. And players that are ordered off can now be replaced by another player after 4 minutes. Now, let's run through the game management actions. To manage the match, an umpire will use any of the following in addition to penalising infringements. Normally, an umpire will work through these game management actions in order, unless an offence is serious enough to require that a higher level of game management be applied immediately.
Step 1 is for low-level incidents that do not compromise player safety. An umpire can provide proactive advice where a player is provided with specific feedback to change their behaviour without the need to hold time.
On defence, you need to adjust your distance.
Step 2 is to advance and or escalate the sanction. A sanction may be advanced up to half a third or about 5 metres. If an infringement is in the goal third, it can be advanced into the goal circle. If it is a penalty pass, the infringer stands out of play at the new position. A free pass may be escalated to a penalty pass, either as a standalone action or in combination with the sanction being advanced. Advancing or escalating a sanction isn't appropriate for infringements that endanger player safety. Instead, the umpire would move straight to step 3, 4 or 5, having regard to the seriousness of the behaviour concerned, the principles of fair play and good sporting behaviour, as well as the paramount consideration of player safety. Step 3 is to warn a player. This lets a player know that if they continue to infringe the foul play rules, they will be suspended. Step 4 is a suspension. The player will be sent from the court for 2 minutes of playing time.
Wing defence, that's dangerous play. You're suspended for 2 minutes.
After the 2 minutes, the suspended player may return to the court, or the coach may choose to replace them with a different bench player. This is an important change, as it means coaches have more choice, especially if they think the suspended player isn't going to be able to adjust. Step 5 is ordering off, where a player must leave the court and take no further part in the match.
Goal defence, that's highly reckless, dangerous play. You're ordered off.
A key change with this rule is they may now be replaced after 4 minutes of playing time.
It's important to remember that umpires work as a team to control the game. Warnings, suspensions and ordering off are all immediately binding on the co-umpire. As an example, if one umpire gives a warning and that player continues to infringe the foul play rules at the other umpire's end of the court, they would then suspend the player. A quick reminder on how a warning, suspension and ordering off is given. Hold time using the hand signal. Use a specific term and hand signal for the game management action. Advise the player of the behaviour the game management action is being applied to. Is netball a non-contact sport? Let's discuss. A key principle of netball is equal contest and the ability of players to compete fairly for playing position and possession of the ball. The contact rule deals with situations where players use physical contact improperly to stop this from happening. This is not a rule change, but a refresh of the existing rule to make it clear to everyone what umpires are looking at to determine whether there has been interference.
The contact rule has 3 main components. Interference. When attacking, defending or playing the ball, a player must not engage in physical contact with an opponent that unfairly interferes with the opponent's play, either accidentally or deliberately. Examples include pushing, tripping, grabbing, holding or leaning on an opponent, knocking or hitting an opponent, including when shooting for goal, hitting or placing their hand or hands on a ball held by an opponent, or while holding the ball, pushing it into an opponent. For physical contact to unfairly interfere, it must result in A, the loss of the ball by an opponent in possession, B, interference with the passing or shooting action of an opponent in possession, or C, a change or changes in the body position of an opponent, regardless of whether the opponent is in possession, which limits their ability to move freely and places them at an unfair disadvantage in attacking, defending, or playing the ball.
Causing contact has two sections, moving player and player in the air, and this rule has been reworded to make it clearer. Player in the air. A player can jump and land in their own space or any vacant space on court not occupied by another player. A player cannot jump into a stationary opponent. A player cannot move into the landing space of an opponent who has jumped. When two players jump in the air to contest, the player who gains possession has right of way and must be given space to land relative to where the ball was travelling. A player who does not yield the space will be penalised. The moving player rule now states that a player must not take up a position so near to or so quickly in the path of a moving opponent that the opponent does not have enough time or space either to stop or change their direction. The time and distance that must be allowed by the player depends on the speed of the opponent.
Waiting for everyone to be on court for the throw-in? Not anymore. If you're ready to take a throw-in, you don't have to wait for everyone to be on the court. Just like any other sanction, the player taking a throw-in can play the ball as soon as they are in position without waiting, even if everyone is not on the court.
But don't forget, you can't have your toe on the line while taking a throw-in, and you need to be within 15 centimetres of the line. The previous rule was difficult for umpires to apply because players may move off court to reposition, and also we want to speed up the game and ensure momentum isn't lost.